Okay, I believe we are live. Just want to wait a moment for live stream on LinkedIn to catch up. Okay, hello and welcome to another All Things TAC episode of the Droneresponders TAC Working Group live stream. I'm your host, Zev Nadler, and I'm joined by these two gentlemen, my co-host Tim Reed, who's the Managing Director of Adeptus Cyber Solutions, a sagacious TAC developer and the purveyor of the finest TAC server as a service I have used, and my partner in supporting this TAC working group, as well as Paul Clifton with Coconino County in Arizona. He's a deputy sheriff concentrating in SAR efforts and a TAC scholar and practitioner. I'd like to ask each of you to take a minute or so to tell us about yourself, your role, your TAC background, and if we can, let's start with you, Paul.
Thank you, Zev. Thanks for having me as well. I always enjoy coming out and talking TAC. My name is Paul Clifton, obviously with the Coconino County Sheriff's Office. As Zev mentioned, I'm a deputy and a search and rescue coordinator. And I guess by default, drone program manager as well. And you know, we've been using TAC since 2018 as a program of record in search and rescue, utilizing drones and UAS tool and a lot of different types of maps and programming software that we feed into TAC, and so that's been going on since 2018, and search and rescue has been using that, like I said, since then, and also more recently, because of our successes in search and rescue, that's been rolled out to our deputies and across the different divisions, like the detectives and SWAT and so forth. So yeah, with that, I'll if that covers it, Zev, I'll turn that over.
All right, Tim, your turn.
All right, thanks, Zev. Always good to be here. Tim Reed, Managing Director of Adeptus Cyber Solutions. Our primary background is in cybersecurity, and we do a lot of TAC work and have since ATAC 4.2, primarily in the plugin world, and in the last few years digging into the TAC server space and hosting TAC servers for organizations that don't have the means or the capability to do it themselves. We work with your organization and do that for you. And as of last week, I am the one responsible for getting the ATAC source back on the GitHub, working with the TAC Product Center. But was able to get that pushed out and get that being constantly updated. So
that was
551. Yeah, that was me.
Wow.
The latest 551 has been pushed. It's all up there. And as each new release comes out, we'll be pushing the source up there. So that's it
amazing.
For me, man.
You think you know somebody, you talk to them every day, and then you find something like that out on a live stream. Very cool. You do keep quiet until you're allowed to speak, which I admire. That's awesome.
Yep.
That is awesome. Okay, great. Well, I wanted to mention that it's been 8 weeks since Droneresponders started the TWG, the TAC Working Group. We have over 100 members right now enjoying the benefits that include access to a fully functional TAC server, TAC subject matter experts like these today who come on the live stream and appear on the discussion forum on the Droneresponders website. You get images, videos, document libraries. They're growing with don't recreate the wheel assets that can help you stand up your team quicker or yourself. We just put in some documents from Texas DPS, which we really appreciate, and Parks and Wildlife in Texas. I also just posted a one-pager of the benefits of TAC and a UAS tool, like a one-pager bulleted for command. If you ever want to tell the story succinctly and show the benefits, that's up there as well. So on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit more about who Droneresponders is, and then we're going to go right into Paul's discussion on using TAC from the perspective of law enforcement with a focus on search and rescue. We're going to move on to talking about, all three of us were at CivTech 25, what we learned, who was there, what we think might come next. Then we're going to talk about a TAC challenge, which we're going to give you all, which is pretty cool. We're excited to talk about that as well. So I'm going to just ramble for a couple more minutes about who drone responders are or is. I Part 107 back in 2016. I was providing physical security teams for a few houses of worship. And while nobody was thinking then about nefarious drones, we were thinking about packages or parcels or, people that shouldn't belong in the area. And that's where we needed an easier CONOP to look for those, to see anything that might be on the roof or in the bushes or whatnot. So that's where my Phantom 3 came in. But I needed more information from folks who have done this before. And there was nothing. I was flying at the edge of my seat. And it wasn't until mid-2019 that I became aware of drone responders, and it literally changed everything for me. Suddenly, I was exposed to tactical and jurisdictional BVLOS, COAs, TTPs, and more. During that time, I developed a relationship with Chief Charles Werner and found him to be exceptionally selfless and always willing to help, which is, the characteristic of our community, the TAC community. Fast forward to earlier this year when the chief recognized the import of TAC and UAS tools in a common operating picture. And he asked me, if we could put together a working group. So I submitted a proposal to generate that as developed by myself and my friend and partner in crime, Tim Reed. Also referred to, by the way, I like saying this, as the Ray Donovan of TAC, because one of his many talents is developing and fixing things that other people have done. And right now we have over 100 members who enjoy the documentation, the lessons, the videos that we talk about, the live streams that keep them in the know. But the best part is it's free. You don't have to do anything but go onto the website and join up. And just to give you one more point about how much juice Drone Responders has in our world, they were contacted by the White House to put together a meeting for the FIFA events coming up, and literally gave Chief Werner like 2 weeks to do it and then 10 days to do it. Then at the very last day or two, they had to change the venue. But, you had, I don't know, I think it was pretty near to 20 different vendors, maybe 40 counter drone vendors that were there discussing it. And then, people who are on the national security team, they were there as well. It was just that's what Drone Responders does. They're known as the people to talk to for these types of things. So again, I can't impress upon you enough to take a look and join their membership. And with that, I'm going to ask Paul to give us a bit about what he does in Sweet Home, Arizona, which I'm missing more and more as it's snowing more and more here in northeastern Pennsylvania. I don't know what I was thinking, but here I am. But there you are, Paul. So tell us what you do out there.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, so it's snowing right now up here in northern Arizona, so you aren't missing too much. My primary function with the sheriff's office is a search and rescue coordinator, and what TAC does, because of search and rescue in Arizona, we're the second largest county in the United States. We go from Sedona, for those familiar with that area, all the way up to the Utah border. We're about 18,000 square miles. Different types of terrain from red rock, canyon country, all the way up to alpine tundra. And we obviously have the Grand Canyon splitting our county, running through there. So it presents a lot of challenges and requires a lot of different disciplines. We don't you never know from one call to another what you're going to need, what types of resources, what types of personnel with what training. For example, a Mountain Rescue Association accredited team. So we have people very experienced and very good at technical rope rescue, both in rock conditions and alpine conditions. And we could be up on the peaks one day and then down at the bottom of the canyon the next day. So that forces us to leverage a lot of different resources, whether it's air assets, drones, manned aviation, folks, different types of tools, for example. A rescue, even though you know where that rescue is and you might be working in a close area, there are still some different terrain challenges, for example, and that's where kind of TAC brings it all together into one operating picture. We can leverage these different types of tools. So when we're dealing with aviation, let's say drones, we're utilizing them in a search. There's all kinds of data that we can get from that, whether we do it in real time, where we will leverage UAS tool for that, or we collect data and then do some sort of post-flight analysis and identify targets, and then we could place those on a map and send them out to people in the field in real time if they're nearby. As part of this, challenge that's going to be discussed later on, it's always a challenge for us, especially if I've never been to a certain location, which a county this big, that's not unusual. TAC is a great planning tool because it allows us to visualize different types of terrain in different ways, and we have different plugins that allow us to more efficiently develop a plan and then push that out. The other thing with TAC, as it relates to what we do, is more and more we're seeing a lot of family members of people, like search subjects or subjects of rescues. They're calling for either. We had one earlier this summer that was like, "Hey, any and all drone operators, please come out." And we were working in a tight canyon area. We had manned aviation there. We had our own drone units there. That really complicated things, and so TAC also allows us to create some geofencing along with some tools that you mentioned earlier, Zev, with drone detectors and remote ID detectors. We can help that airspace along with, and all of this offline, along with ADSB receivers out in the field, so we can deconflict and understand. We actually had one in that same search. We had a media helicopter flying in the area as a rescue helicopter was working in a tight canyon. That was TAC allowed us to recognize who they were and solve that issue. So, but ultimately, what it does do is, our primary reason is personnel safety and accountability. Where is everyone? And we can do that offline. We don't have to be connected, with certain services that we utilize that don't require cell phone networks. And I know there's other things out there that will let you sync your track logs after the fact, but it's that period where you don't have cell phone service that concerns me. As a coordinator, my job is to make sure everyone gets home safe. So TAC is really a way to do that. And then lastly, as we had some fires that made the news at Dragon Bravo that burned down the North Rim Lodge at the Grand Canyon. As we responded, our primary terrestrial tower went down we had no radio, and cell phone service was pretty spotty out there. And so we had multiple agencies responding, federal agencies and other state agencies. And especially today with the tools that TAC makes available, we could re-onboard everybody on scene. I had Starlink on my truck, so we were able to get connectivity. And while we didn't have good cell phone coverage out there, there were certain high points where certain law enforcement officers would get up to, and at least we knew that's where they were out there in this big, vast mesa, if you will. So for all these reasons, it pulls it all together, and it's not just a common operating picture for the coordinator or the command staff. TAC allows you for your end users in the field to have hyper situational awareness. You hear this all the time. Oh, well, we'll feed this dashboard back to the command post. Well, what about the person in the field? Are we getting to them the information they need to know to achieve the leader's intent? And TAC allows us to do that in real time if we set ourselves up for that. So that's in a nutshell of what we do. But we respond to rescues, we respond to missing person searches, evacuations for wildfire. It's a multifaceted job, and one that's always interesting, and TAC really makes it easier to bring everyone home.
Now, when you talk about the team members and so on and some of the assets, are you doing a lot of interagency? Do you do things with state fire and know where their water tankers are, or is that something they handle and relay to you? How interoperable are you with the other agencies?
Fairly interoperable with local agencies. So, for example, our SWAT team's a regional team. So those guys are also on our server, and some of the local fire departments as well. We do have a good chunk of the federal law enforcement that work with us, both Park Service and Forest Service. So that works really well. As far as other agency goes, like in Arizona, oftentimes we'll tap on other mutual aid, other sheriff's office for mutual aid, and we've just started federating, meaning we're sharing. For those not familiar with the tax server function of federation, is we identify a certain channel on our tax server, and then and our sister county to the south has one as well, and they identify a channel. We could see each other and share mission information. So, but there's been in the last 6 months a lot of interest from other agencies wanting to set up tax servers. So we're still working through sort of what Colorado does with COTAC is a statewide service. So that's gaining some momentum. So we still have a long way to go for interoperability, but TAC makes it easier when we have to quickly onboard someone, get this job done. We can do it within minutes just using QR codes. So to answer your questions, Ev, it's still gaining momentum, but fairly interoperable in northern Arizona. But statewide, we still have good ways to go.
I'm just going to hit two of my counties that I have. Well, first of all, I had a ranch up in Coconino, as you know, in the Four Hills section. And we used to watch, the beautiful lightning going across the northern rim of the Grand Canyon. So when you mentioned that kind of brought me back to that. But are Yavapai or Maricopa spun up yet on TAC with you?
Maricopa is Yavapai, and it's not unusual. A lot of the search volunteer units, search and rescue units are use Caltopo, for example. And so what we've done, for example, with Yavapai, we do a lot of mutual aid with them, is that we've come up with an internal solution that allows them to stay on their Caltopo account. They just need to identify whoever, it depends on who the call is, but we basically link our Caltopo accounts, and then we feed that information, our locations and so forth, back and forth. So they could be on Caltopo, and as long as we're authorized to connect to their or get information from their account, we can see them on TAC for us. So we don't have to change how who's using what. Especially at the time of an incident, that's not. If you can at all avoid it, don't try to force someone to learn something new. But so yeah, we've worked. TAC allowed us to do that interoperability between not just agencies, but tracking systems, if you will.
Okay, I know Tim is not going to address that part, so I will, because he's just not that kind of guy. But I will do a shameless plug for him. He has a plugin called the Public Safety ATAC plugin, and when you federate, or even within your own team, you want to have consistent, call sign team roles established, so that when you are working together, you know who is who. So if you're interested in taking a look at what all that does, direct message me on LinkedIn. If you have my email address, go ahead and email me as well. Or actually, what I think I'm going to do is see if this will post on the comments, because sometimes I have a rough time getting it. So you guys let me know if you see that.
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, take a look at that. If you're, thinking of federating, if you're thinking of doing interagency, that would be very helpful. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Paul. I do appreciate it. I think the next topic we're going to talk about is CivTac 25, what we learned there, who was there, what's next. I know we've got three amazing perspectives here. Paul is with the public safety group, the nonprofit TAC Public Safety. I know they had some brilliant meetings up there. Tim was doing his plugin and development thing and, doing quiet things that we didn't know about until today with GitHub and the source code. But those are two great perspectives. And then I'll add something. So why don't we start with you, Tim? What did you think of CivTac? What did you do there and what did you learn?
It was good again this year. Different layout than last year. And we were there again, showcasing our plugin capabilities, our plugin training capabilities, and also our TAC server as a service capability, and also showing off a way to easily view the logs and or connections from TAC. So if you wanted to see an easier map of like who's connecting, we were showing off what's called an ELK stack, which is a security information and event management system. So we were shipping the TAC logs over to that to be parsed, and that way we could actually see in GeoIP like where people were coming into the server. It's not even just people that were logging in; it was anybody that was like hitting the server. So it's a good way to understand where you're getting attacked from on those ports. But we were showcasing that as well at the table. I didn't get to many presentations this year because I always like to hang out at the table and have lots of conversations. I did get to a few that I thought were really good. I enjoyed seeing Corey Foy's explanation of how they used it at the New York City Marathon and how much goes into that. Yeah, and I did enjoy the AWS conversations. I think they were on day 3. They were super interesting to me, and I've touched base with AWS afterwards because I'm trying to do there and look at their serverless TAC server that they've got and understand how that's put together. I really like how they laid it out. It's pretty smart, especially since it's using all AWS features. So that was cool. And then besides that, my chat was on Tuesday, late morning, I think, about the work that we had done to bring the source back to the community and how important that is to the community. And we had full support of the AFRL government PM, Ralph Kohler, on that, because I cornered him last year at the conference and asked him that question of like, why isn't the source out there anymore? Why are we stuck on 4.6? And we chatted about it. I had to come up with 3 reasons why I needed source code to do the work. I gave those to him and he's like, yep, all right, these are good reasons. And that's how we proceeded forward with getting the CRADA to do that and get the source back out there. So everybody has access to it now. And we have there's a more automated way of pushing the source out now versus the manual process that they had previously at the TPC. So other than that, we had a lot of good conversations with small agencies that were new, that didn't understand TAC or TAC server. A lot of people that we've seen and talked to before. I think we had a lot of good conversations after hours about what might be the possibility for the conference going forward. Some other, maybe introducing training tracks and things like that. So it was good. It was good all around again to be there.
Awesome. Do you have a link to that GitHub? Do you have a URL?
Yeah, I'll throw it in. I'll throw it in the chat.
All right. Let me remind our viewers that at any point we would love to hear from you. There's comments both on YouTube and on LinkedIn we could put in. If it makes sense, we'll bring it up on the screen and show it to folks. All right. Bravo from Jason Esterline. That is excellent work, Tim. Thank you, Jason. Yeah. Good to see you, man.
I'll have to have you do it because I can't join the chat.
Okay. Can you text me?
It's coming over in the private chat.
Oh, in the private chat there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the other, so there, I think there are still 2 repos out there. Obviously, one is active and one is not. The one I just gave you is the active one. GitHub. I don't even know if the other one is still, yes, the other one's still present, but I believe it's marked as archive. So,
Okay. All right. I am going to go next and tell you about my experience here, which was really quite brilliant. I'm going to bring up a picture and put that up here. Share screen and a window. There it is. All right, so hopefully you see that picture. That was our table, and that's my daughter behind it, Sivan. She's finishing up her 4th year at Arizona State University Polytech, majoring in drones. And we have kind of an interesting table. So my company is UAS Strategic. We focus on counter drone for the masses, meaning commercial and private folks. And we also help them do that within the confines of the law. It's interesting because I wrote an article back in late 23, about drone wars in a magazine called Recoil. It's a firearms magazine. And we talked about, is John Q. Public ever going to have an anti-drone gun in his gun safe, in his rifle safe? And I went through all the laws and all the possibilities. And, my point then was that, no, we're not going to have that, certainly not to mitigate. Now, we have come up with ways to do detection. And I know that Paul uses this and I use it. This is an RID detector from a company called 9 Hill Technologies, which is the other logo you see to the left of mine. We are a value-added reseller for them. We sell these airspace awareness tools. Currently, it does RID sensing, but they're about to release gigahertz sensing. So hopefully we'll see 2.4 and 5.8 come out in the next few weeks. And then, of course, on the other side is the Droneresponders logo, because we are trying to build up that TAC group. The other point I want to point out was you might see a whiteboard behind the table. That whiteboard is a ballistic protection board that looks like a whiteboard. So it's the most important kit in an active shooter situation, whether you're in a corporate boardroom, whether you're in a school or whatnot, hidden in plain sight. So on it, we have 2 end user devices. Both of them are showing in the front now because we wanted everybody to see what we could do with it. But basically, we're going to have one on either side, and we also have a camera, a 4K camera, pointing in each direction. In the back of the board, you have handles that you could push forward towards a threat. So when law enforcement arrives, it can go in with full body protection as opposed to just a shield, and can go forward with that. And then they could stack behind that as many rows as they want, 2 men side by side. And then when they get to the point and they can start egressing with civilians or former hostages, they can go backwards, and both ways they could see what's going on in either direction. In addition, we're using GoTac. My friend Matt DeSalto has, a bunch of equipment for TAC, and one of them is, I have it right here, is this little tag. This is a magnetized self-powered tag that you may see on the top of the board in the upper right. That gives law enforcement and any other federated team and the security team that might be within that institution knowledge as to where that board is when they get there, where that board is when they're ingressing, and where it is when they're egressing. So that was my purpose for being there. And I got to be honest, I think it was one of the most novel uses for TAC that I saw at the show, to be able to, get that TAC up. So that was kind of fun. In addition to that, I met people. Right? I actually met people that I've been talking to for over a year, that I'd never shaken their hand, and that person-to-person IRL in real life relationship is just great. It's different and it's great. I mean, you could be on Slack, you could be on LinkedIn and whatnot, but when you're there shaking somebody's hand, looking them in the eye and understanding what it is that's important to them, that's like brilliant. I love that. So it was a great experience for me. I learned a lot. Yeah, that was my part. So thank you. And Paul, I think you're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. I had a great time. I had to remind myself, I didn't get to see a lot of the presentations I wanted to because being on the board, I had to move around and talk to folks. But to your point, Zev, that's one of the biggest things that I've learned with CivTac, whether it was last year or this year. It's the people that you need, and it's not necessarily during the talks. I mean, the night before it kicked off, I sat with Tim at dinner and had these fascinating conversations that you wouldn't have had on Slack or whatever the other groups are. And one of the things though that was missing, we couldn't anticipate, was the federal shutdown. So what was missing compared to the year before were a lot of federal agencies. And that being said, though, we were able to adjust and get. I had to pick up a few more presentations, so I missed a couple that I wanted to see because I was at the same time slot as them. But that being said, though, the ones I did see, especially with Texas DPS and Texas Parks and Wildlife and the Kerrville flooding incident, Corey Forey with the New York Marathon, and then even some of the smaller stuff is in terms of scope, like Greg Boyd with Tennessee. What struck me is how far the smaller agencies have come from before. It's a lot easier to find people really taking TAC to the next level at that local and state level, whether it's fire or law enforcement. And the Texas story was powerful. The Kerrville one, that never tires me. What was thrust at them and how they used TAC to bring it all together. And the other, in all the public safety presentations, what really stuck out with me is, I think we all talked about airspace deconfliction. That was the big thing, whether it was deconflicting between drones and manned aircraft, or it's all manned aircraft, whatever that was. That sort of detection in the field, offline. That arose as a common theme, I think, through all of the presentations. So I think it's great that Droneresponders has formed this, thanks to you, Zev, formed this TAC working group, because TAC helps us do that affordably. We don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a system that's disconnected from everything else. So that was my take on CivTac.
That was good. And what I really liked about your public safety group, and actually probably one of the highlights of CivTac, was learning that the inimitable Michelle Duquette is now a board member, and who better knows airspace and the whole mixture of 108, what with her time at MITRE and actually doing, I don't know if she was air traffic control or dispatch, but I know she worked in the trenches for a bit too. Having her on the board, bringing her on during that meeting, or I don't know if it was approved then or just brought up, but yeah, that was probably the best part. The best news I got when I was at CivTac 25, because things are going to move forward. We have a question, which is perfect timing. Let me bring, first of all, to Justine Hollingshead, who wrote, I don't see the link that you reference of. It looks like we're not allowed to put in comments when we're on this live stream, and I got to figure out why. This has happened before, but it does show up in the comments if you go to the YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is All Things TAC. So go to YouTube, it's 3 words, All Things TAC, and you'll see this live stream, and you'll be able to see the comments there. Okay, now let me bring up a question from Mike Powell, which is a great question. Might take a little time to talk about, but Mike, thank you for this. Mike delivers counter drone to DHS and Department of War, starting with FIFA. SLTT will be deploying CUAS TAC, and I wonder if you can share how capable/equipped SLTT is for TAC for this purpose. He'll be attending TexCon in Florence, Texas, December 2nd. So, up until now, the chain of detection, identification, tracking, mitigation, certainly in an active sense, has been the purview of the 4 agencies: DHS, Department of War, Department of Energy, think our nuclear reactors, and Department of Justice. Now SLTT is going to be given more, I don't know if we're going to call it legislative relief still. People say, those four agencies have the authorities. Well, you never really have an authority to break a law. What you have is legislative relief from those laws. So we have yet to see what's going to happen there. But I will tell you that our next show on the 26th, the day before Turkey Day, I know, but we're doing it a little earlier in the day so you can get out and do what you need to do to get ready for Thanksgiving. But we are having Connecticut State Police on. We're having Kevin Pelkey and Jerry Nazario. And I will tell you that the amount of detection equipment that they have and the loaning of test and evaluation of that equipment to other departments is just mind-blowing. So I highly suggest you tune into that next week, because you're going to get a really good picture of what you're looking for in your question. But before I go away from that, do you have anything to add to that, Paul or Tim, that you can share?
I don't. I think whatever that, the thing, what I can add is, TAC is open source, and it's known how you need to get data into there. So on the TAC side, it's flexible enough to work with whatever CUAS or any other type of tracking system. For example, you mentioned earlier gigahertz or frequency detection. CTI, it's not, I'm sorry, not CTI, QRC with a Parsons company. We tested some technology where we were seeking for Bluetooth low energy devices in a canyon where you really couldn't see down. So they were able to make that work with TAC. Once something was located, you could find an area and so forth. So I think that's all I can really add to that conversation. I think on the TAC side, you could make it work.
Right, and that QRC product, is that the one that will look for emissions from a lost hiker, whether it's a cell phone or whatnot?
Yeah, it's called Bluefly, and it's a payload that goes on the drone, and it seeks, in particular in this case, Bluetooth low energy, so smartwatches, phones, pacemakers, hearing aids, anything that emits Bluetooth low energy, it'll detect it if it's in range.
Great. Okay, so yeah, tune in this week. You're going to get. Oh, sorry, Tim. Did you have something to add?
Yeah, if you wanted to throw that comment back up there, yeah. I mean, this is the power of TAC, right? Is you want to bring in a new data feed, say it's a CUAS feed of some sort, you can easily have somebody bring that into the TAC server or TAC environment, and then everybody can see and consume it however they need to, right? And you can bring it in for everybody, but then you have to remember that what you see on the TAC screen is controlled by you, not by somebody else. So I mean, sometimes people get overwhelmed with like, oh, I've got ADSB, I've got traffic cams, I got this and that, the map's all busy. It's like, well, turn off some of that stuff and only display what you need. But yeah, I mean, this is what TAC is for, right? TAC is super flexible in what you can bring into it and convert. So if you have the feeds for that, then it's you can easily display them or whatever you need to on there. It just depends on what the system's given you. I had done that with a CUAS system several years ago. We brought the feed into TAC, and we were just kind of using like geofences when we would fly our drone into where we knew the CUS was looking. But it was pretty cool. But yeah, you can obviously bring all that into TAC, and we can help with that. So.
Yes, definitely. There was a fellow from Drone Shield at CivTAC, an Australian fellow, and he was able to show us how their Drone Shield RF Patrol feeds into TAC to show you what's going on. So yeah, to Paul's point, TAC serves a great purpose in that no matter what you need to feed in, it's going to be there. So thank you for that question. And Mike Leckleiter put up the URL for us for the GitHub. And Mike, I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, If you can see the YouTube one that I put up for Adeptus's public safety ATAC plugin, you might see that one too. If you're able to grab that and throw it up, I would appreciate that. Okay. Thank you, Mike. All right. So now the next portion of the show will be about the TAC Challenge. So I want to tell you a little bit about the TAC Challenge and what it's all about. So we want to have 3 levels, kind of like think of a ISPC match or something where you have to go through different, classifications, limited, these guys got red dots, these guys have race guns. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to have a basic challenge. So basically it's going to be, you have to develop a route from point A to point B, which Paul's going to talk about in a moment. And the first level is going to be, just use the basic tools, use routing, pin drop, whatever you'd like, geofence to show things in the way, markers, grids, whatever you'd like to make the most exquisite or elegant response to that. And I'm using words that are used in counter drone, exquisite perturbations. So to perturb somebody, they actually call challenging a drone a perturbation. But yeah, something exquisite or elegant using whatever you can within the basic tools. Level 2 is going to be teaming up with somebody else so that you can actually do communications, text and voice, and submit that. And then the last level, the highest level, will be all of that and incorporating UAS tools. And each class is going to win one of these 9-hill Edge Scout minis, which are RID, airspace awareness receivers. It's a great thing for you to get started, to bring into TAC with the plugin called Drone Hone, like to hone it into something. And, it's a great little prize that you can use. It's a serial port that connects to the back of your EUD. It is magnetized, and so all you need is one of these metal plates like I have on here, and it sticks right on there. And then we put an elbow connector in there for the port, and you're good to go. So we're gonna run this challenge, I think, until the next show, and we're gonna ask you to send us data packages. So you're gonna send it to me, and I'll stay up for 18 hours a day to look at each one of your submissions with my fellows here, and we'll figure out who the winners in each one are. If you can at this point, I'm gonna stop sharing mine. Paul, can you bring up that map that you had before, and I'll show it up on the screen?
Sure.
Thank you, Michael, for putting up the Adeptus Cybersolutions.com public safety ATAC plugin. We'll take a look at that. All right, just received it. And there it is. All right, folks, pay attention. Here's a challenge. We are going to post it in the Droneresponders TAC working group as an image as well. All right, Paul.
So this has been kind of a common one for us this year. As I mentioned, a lot of where TAC can shine and really bring all things together. So the challenge is a scenario where we have a climber, or I should say, here, sends an inReach message, right? So we can't really talk to them as they don't have cell phone service, but they're at this this particular location over the edge, and an area called this is a series of canyons, and there I probably should advertise this and bring more calls for service for us, but this is a common difficult canyoneering area. And Zev, I don't know, do we want to display coordinates in here, or how do we want to get these?
I think that would be a good idea. I mean, we can display them now for people to write it down or take a screenshot, but we can also include them in the TAC working group post that I'm going to make.
Okay, yeah. So I'll just tap on it just so it can be displayed, and then I would agree. We'll submit the list of coordinates to the group, or maybe we can make a data package and put it in the TAC working group, and they can work off of that.
I like that. Good idea.
So this is a common area, and there is a trail nearby over here. This trailhead. It's a very popular and busy area. There's what we call West Fork of Oak Creek Canyon. This red line here is the trailed portion of it. The rest of it is cross country. Very rugged, very wet. So that's something to consider in terms if you want to think about how you want to egress after you contact your canyoneer. And but just Zeb mentioned the third tier using UAS tool. If you were to use that tool, keep in mind that this whole area in here is wilderness. So you're not supposed to operate a drone in it without permission. But you can obviously stand outside the area and fly it. So if you want to include a UAS tool task, if you will, for the drone, you can think about using different map sources to see where you can be in compliance with Part 107 to try and or your COA, whatever, if that's what you operate with. That would be a third layer, but getting there is a challenge. You really can't. This is a highway here, Highway 89 A, and our building is up here in Flagstaff, way up here. I want to say, forget how many miles it is, but we're almost in the middle of Flagstaff.
How close is the airport to that? I'm not seeing the airport. Was it there?
Oh, the airport's fairly close. It's coordinates up for that. The airport is 10-minute drive.
Okay.
So there's a 17 and 40 interchange, and the airport is right there.
Got it.
So you actually drive by the airport to get there.
Okay.
So you need to get from this building to basically where people are known to park their vehicles out here, and this is all dirt road. And we'll see what the challenge is in terms of getting there, how you come up with your routing and so forth. There are definitely plugins that can help you with that, but just be aware, not all dirt roads are the same out in the national forest. So there's a logistical challenge of getting there. So you get to this vehicle, generally from there, you get into the canyon on foot. To get to this point, maybe you fly your drone. But the vehicle coordinates or the parking area where people tend to park to do this those are the coordinates there. And for those of you wondering what I'm using, this is actually CloudTAC from Kotak connected to our service. So it's a web-based TAC client. And so we've been testing this for a little while and working through some things, and it's looking very easy to use. Just over the
first. Yeah, that's the first time I've seen it. Do we all have access to that if we wanted to work either on the beta or on if it's already out of version?
Yes, I don't. It is open source, and it runs off of a Docker container at the Colorado Center for Excellence GitHub repo, and they have a version that works that their system works on Amazon, but this is a Dockerized version of it, and he's got instructions on how to. We're still building up the documentation for it for the install, but once you get it in there, it is very easy to update and so forth, and it runs on Docker, so very simple to set up, and really a great user-friendly tool to access tax information on a web browser. I can add that to let me get their GitHub repo address.
And I hope your comment will show up. If it doesn't, Mike Lecklater has been doing a great job posting for us, so appreciate that. While you're doing that, Jason Esterline mentioned that it's grainy on his end. Yeah, this is all going to be in a data package on the discussion board of Droneresponders TAC working group. And again, we're going to look at everything that you submit because, you know, you got to plan it. And if you're going for a second or third level, you have to have a buddy with you. But yeah, okay. Sorry, Paul. I was just filling in.
No, that's no. I put it up in the chat, and you might be able to send that. I don't know. We may have challenges there, but yeah, that's the gist of it. We're trying to get from this from in town in Flagstaff all the way out to as close as you can by vehicle to this Red Diamond, and then our subject is presumably at the red dot there, spot marker, and then however you feel like is the best way to get out of there once you rescue this person. You can draw that on the map. Maybe think about going, if this person can walk, maybe go down, or you try to bring them back up. And I would also urge you to look at different map sources they will reveal different bits of information that might help you with your planning. For example, some satellite imagery might give you a little better view of what you're dealing with.
That's a great. Can you go into 3D with this and actually see elevation, like DTED stuff, or? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can. They're still working on improving that, but yes, 3D does work on some level.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and I think Zeb will look for, you know, what may be Part 107 compliant or whatever rule you fly by, since you can't stand in the wilderness and fly a drone, operate a drone without permission. But if you're a search and rescue team and its subject is life is at risk, then they'll usually work with you. So anything else, Zev, do you think we need to add to this scenario?
No, other than when do you think we could have the data package and the info so I could put it up next day or so?
Oh, I'll do it. Yeah, definitely by early afternoon. I'll have this data package done. Once we wrap up, I'll just send it to you.
Okay, or you can put it up in the discussion post if you wouldn't mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to mention that, you know, people who are not qualified to be a part of this are actually barred from doing this. Would be people like Paul Clifton, Mike Lecklider, AJ, you know, Tim, Charlie Laird, Corey Foy, Dave Zader, all you guys who know how to do this in the New York Minute. You are not allowed to compete. All right. Plus, I think you all have the Edge Scout Mini anyway. All right, that was good. Let me see what we have else on our agenda. Oh, one of the things that might make this easier is Tim is going to take a look into creating groups or cohorts. We'll do away with the DR cohort right now, as it's known on the Droneresponders TAC server that Tim hosts, and we're going to put together cohorts that you request. So like Connecticut Stadies might want their own, Texas might want their own, Illinois might want their own, and 3 of you in another area that are working together on this project might want their own. So what would that look like, Tim? They'd make the request, or what would that process look like?
Right. We would need to know names or usernames that want to be in a group. And if they want to supply a group name, that's fine. That'd be fine with me. We can easily make the groups that you request. And then we would be pulling you out of the main DR cohort group. Just that way there's no accidental sharing to the wrong group in TAC server. So you would just be pulled out of the one and added to the new one, and you would only end up being able to see whoever is in your group there. So that would just to limit data sharing. And then that way, you know, if the 3 of us were in a group, we would only see the 3 of us, and then we would be able to share data amongst ourselves on the TAC server. But
and
then
you don't want your team to do what you're doing, so basically hides your stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody else would be able to see you at all because you're in a different group. So, I mean, which is currently happening on the server now, right? There's the DR cohort group, and then I have groups up there that I'm using for my own testing. And, I'm not a part of the DR cohort, so I'm not in that group. So I don't see you guys when you're on. So.
Okay, good. Good. All right. You know what I'm thinking, Paul, is maybe let's coordinate after the show, because I'll probably put the challenge and the rules and the classes in there first, and then yours can be a response to that. And it'll say on the main one, look for Paul's response to this or comment to this to get the data package. Okay, cool. Couple other things. I want to talk about our next show next week, which is going to have, as I mentioned, Jerry Nazario and Kevin Pelkey from Connecticut State Police. I promise you're going to want to see this show to see the incredible things they're doing with TAC and specifically with counter drone, how they lead the the New England area and the mutual aid groups there in loaning out stuff. It's just amazing what they do. So you're going to want to be there for that. You're also going to want to see Marshall Frith. He is going to share with us how he used TAC for a hunt. And I'm going to show a quick image as a teaser. But that's basically what he did in ITAC to find a South Georgia whitetail. That's enough. You don't get to see any more. But you definitely want to come and see that. And then we also have Amos Halava from Samsung coming on. And if you know Amos, it's always a good time to have him on the show. He really has done so much in proliferating EUDs, getting our requirements for EUDs, helping to channel engineering, and not just within Samsung, but the work that they do with other great companies that support us, like Juggernaut. So before a phone actually comes or an EUD comes out, Juggernaut will get the specs they need to start developing their cases. It's just a whole ecosystem, and it works out great. And Amos can tell us about that. So really looking forward to having those four on next week. And if there is nothing else, actually, we did have one quick question back here from Mike Powell. You would like more to how prepared the SLTT orgs are to use TAC. SLTT orgs are spinning up exponentially on TAC. I wish that it mirrored the way CUAS is not yet there, and it's no fault of their own. It's the fault of legislation. But yes, TAC is really spinning up like wildfire everywhere. I'm using it here commercially. So there are specific security teams for houses of worship and so on that are in contact with their local law enforcement agencies so that they can tag where a team member might be and where a threat might be, or where that whiteboard, that ballistic whiteboard that we talked about is. So I guess with that, if you have any other questions, you can DM any of us. If you have my email address, definitely do that. My phone number, give me a call. And with that, Mike or Tim, do you have anything else you'd like to say? Or
I'm good here. Thanks,
okay.
Sev.
And Paul?
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and I think the other thing I would leave everyone with, whether it's on LinkedIn or the Slack group, kind of addressing Mike's question about how to get things into TAC. One thing that amazes me about this group and community is how much goes on into people helping you in real time, whether it's a flood in Kerrville or a hurricane in North Carolina, South Carolina, or what have you. There are plenty of people willing to help, so don't feel like you need to go at it alone and reach out to us through the various channels, whether it's a TAC working group or LinkedIn, or if you're on Slack. That's the most amazing thing about this. Yes, we're focused on technology solutions, but the people are bringing those solutions. The people are what drive this. So thanks for having me on, Zach.
All right. Until next time, wish you all well, and hopefully see you next week. Take care.